Well, the economic update arrives from Wayne Swan tomorrow, as I said, and a cheque for school uniforms will be in the mail one day. But as the nation waits for an election date and a new direction on climate change, the Gillard government's received a blow from within today. Labor backbencher Chris Trevor has lashed out at the factional power brokers who toppled Kevin Rudd, a topic the Prime Minister's keen to avoid. From Canberra, Hayden Cooper reports.
Everybody's okay?
Hey! Who do you trust to fix Kevin Rudd's mess?
I feel like the Prime Minister. I am the Prime Minister.
Do you trust Julia, who helped to create it with him?
We can work together to go forward.
Or do you trust me and the coalition?
It's the inevitable waiting game, the political twilight zone before the election. And although the campaign hasn't begun, the promises have.
It's something to take a little bit of pressure off.
Julia Gillard starting at school with a rebate to pay for half of the cost of uniforms, up to $780 per child for high school students. But voters won't see the money for 2 years.
If she'd been fair income about giving more help to parents, why didn't she, as the Education Minister, do this at the start of the year?
Tony Abbott is expecting the election call any day. He's launching electorate offices and doing all he can to keep the attention where he wants it.
Australia cannot afford another 3 years of bungling and incompetence.
But when he talks about Labor Party factions, it's not only something Conservatives are watching.
Every man or woman has their tipping point. Kevin Rudd's demise was mine.
Queensland Labor MP Chris Trevor was so upset at the treatment of the former Prime Minister that he thought about quitting politics. He's now decided to recontest his marginal seat of Flynn, but he won't be doing the party apparatchiks any favours.
I think the way various factional bosses treated former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd was absolutely disgraceful.
G'day, how are you, sir?
Mr Rudd's now in Washington at a leadership dialogue, and so are some of the players who helped remove him. Chris Trevor hopes Julia Gillard can find a job for his fellow Queenslander.
And the Gillard government would be mad not to use Kevin properly, given his vast knowledge of world affairs.
It's an unwanted distraction for the Prime Minister. The government's next move on climate change appears far from certain. Cabinet has just spent several hours discussing it. A price on carbon will have to wait for a more forgiving time in the electoral cycle, but it's clear that, like in 2007, the topic itself will feature in the campaign proper. But the Prime Minister appears in no rush. She's ruled out raising it at her press club address on Thursday. On Friday, she'll be in Tasmania.
And yes, of course, the government is working its way through these issues, and we will do so methodically, taking the time necessary to get it right.
An economic theme will fill the breach. The government's preparing to update its budget numbers tomorrow.
I can report that it is the Treasurer's intention to publish the information imminently.
The election guessing game continues. Hayden Cooper, Late Line.